Hello, everyone. Say anything to anybody?
Hello.
What's going on today in the Gaza Strip and the clashes in between Israel to the Palestinians? Again, going back really briefly, the Palestinians are part of them came from the same group that we know today as
Yeah, but
uh,
what's going on in Gaza is because on October 7th, some sect of Hamas or that group decided that they were going to attack and kill Jewish settlers, correct?
yes, but there's more to it.
Correct
But
me if
yes,
I'm wrong. I'm not over there. This is what I understand.
okay. For
October
some people,
7th, just stay
yeah,
with
yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah.
October 7th,
Yes,
either Hamas attacked Israel, yes?
yeah. It wasn't just Hamas. It was other
What
Islamic
whoever they were
factions.
armed insurgents who went into these
Sure,
territories and decided that for whatever reason they were unable to get whatever they wanted to happen done peacefully, so they chose to kill people. Yes?
true. Yes.
Okay. So basically, I think people realize that when you start trying to kill somebody, that's about as extreme as you can get because the other person now is going to defend themselves in human
Sure.
nature. Now, it comes down to two men enter, one man leaves. Two men enter, one man leaves. It gets back to that basic Mad Max situation where if it comes down to a two men enter, one man leaves, that's what we're witnessing. And so it's I think it's kind of crazy that those people launched that attack without thinking three steps ahead. And what they probably should have done is I don't know. I mean, you never start a fight that you can't finish, or else you're going to end up being hurt.
You see,
It's better not to fight. It's kind of like if I went in the ring against Tyson,
yeah,
I'd be a fool.
yeah. This,
And
this,
so and so Hamas or whatever you want to call these people, whoever made the decision to attack those
no,
settlements on October
I can,
7th
I can very,
should
very
have
quickly.
should have had the other groups behind them with the missiles, the rockets, the people, and then should have finished the job or not started.
It's right, but you're correct about that. But again, let me just finish quickly the the previous section, and then I'll move on to that
Yeah.
and put
Or I
some
just
more
want to say
information.
this.
Go
Or
on.
if I was somebody who was constantly being subjugated, if I was constantly being abused, now this is my opinion, my attitude. If I felt that I had no power, then maybe I would choose to go down swinging. And maybe that's what October 7th was. Maybe it was just people saying, you know what, we're going to die anyways. Let's take a few with us. Or let's make this statement. Let's try to, you know, nobody's
Yes,
listening to us. Nobody's paying attention. Maybe people will now pay attention when we cause some pain. Maybe that's what it was.
fair enough. Uh, how about these two plus what I'm gonna add, and then you can just say all of the above. Because as I said, and I'm gonna just go back, the Palestinian originally came from the same set of migrants who persecuted, and the same batch of what we know that nowadays tens of millions of worldwide gypsies, and some of them were also people who either traveled or either been banned and chalked out from different countries and tribes. The Palestinians started after the Ottoman Empire started to crumble. They started to pour in from Egypt, from Libya, from Tunisia, from Lebanon, from Syria, from from Saudi Arabia, from Iraq. Some of them were just road travelers. Some of them were merchant dealers. Some of them were just banned because they were muggers and thieves and whatnot. And that's how the Islamic. I'm not saying there was no Muslim in the land of Israel prior to that era. There were, but there was also like over 550, 560 Jewish villages and settlements all over there. And then after the Ottoman Empire fell, do you remember which empire came in and seized it all?
After the Ottoman?
Yeah, the British Empire.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, the British Mandate. And when they pulled out, they didn't even bother with all the smaller, finer details. What they did is they opened the known maps, squiggle some lines, and gave Lebanon its independency, Israel its independency, Jordan its independency. They even gave in the same years between 1947 to 1949, they gave independence to countries like Pakistan. But people don't like to talk about those things. It's only the Jews. It's only the Jews. It's only the big bad Jews. Okay, fair enough. Okay, the big whatever. Okay, again and again, it's not coming from it's just coming from a really non-biased perspective. It's not because I'm Jewish. It's not because I also criticize my own kin allegedly. Because I'm first and foremost, we're all human beings. Let's not forget that I'm a human being before I'm anything else. Okay, I'm a human being before I'm labeled as anything else, as a Jew, as a Christian, as a Muslim, as whatever. And it's not the summary of what defines me. Just my way of life, my faith, or my religion, or how religious am I? But the thing is, again, we already listed like uh, before, like the amount of countries and how many Jewish countries you have. If they had anywhere else to escape from Israel to a land that they know that like they can call their own, obviously they don't want to do that because they have a lot of ties and connection to their forefathers and their ancestral land, but nobody wants to see that. They just call it a fake narrative. And again, Zionism is not in any shape or form part of Judaism. It's an idea. It has nothing to do with the religion. Nothing. Zionism is not part of Judaism. Period. End of story. It's just like saying, it's just like making a word salad and saying that it's like fascism, Nazism, and communism are kind of like have a very equivalent lines, but they're all the same. All if you mix them all together, what do you get? It's literally nothing to do together. Like Zionism to Judaism, to religion to an idea that sprung out of religion that had been existed for over 5,000-6,000 years, as opposed to uh, an idea who's been existed like for what, a few hundreds of years. Again, now going back to the situation in Gaza, what you stated earlier was true and untrue. First of all, let me list the people who were involved. The people who were involved on the attack from the Palestinian side, from the Islamic side, were from within Gaza itself. It was Hamas. It was also the Islamic Jihad, a group called the Islamic Jihad. Also, the Azadin El Qassam battalions, but also something people don't like to talk about. A few ex-special forces officers from the IRGC, Islamic Revolutionary Guard, Special Forces of Iran. There was a handful of them over there on the ground to oversee the operation and the training that precedes it. Sorry, that prior to that.
Well, I saw some Are you there?
I'm still there. I just want to finish
Okay.
that.
Well, I saw some video, and those groups that made the attack, they were very well trained.
There was also affiliated groups.
Okay, and what was their objective?
Let me finish. There was also collectively a few hundreds of Al-Qaeda, Shu'abat al-Nusra, Al-Shabaab, and Boko Haram, and a lot of ISIS and mercenaries from North, Central, East, and
Okay,
West
well,
Africa.
it sounds like there's all these groups that used to fight with each other that have come together to attack a common enemy.
Yeah, that's the only thing that usually unite them, the hatred towards Jews. That's the only
Okay,
thing that, if the only
so
thing that unites you is hatred, that it goes to say something about
so
you.
why
But
would they choose to make this attack knowing? I mean, any idiot. Well, let me rephrase that. I mean, any person from that part of the world would have to assume if you attack Israel like that, Israel is going to. I mean, Israel's history. Israel will hit you twice as hard as you hit them. They'll want to knock you into. They'll want to knock you out of this world. So why would they make that attack? What did they accomplish with that attack on October 7th?
that's a good question. The only thing they managed to accomplish is to accomplish their enemies, whoever they call their enemies, goals. They took the bait. They took the bait.
Well, what was the bait?
I'm saying the bait was that it was an inside job. I know it sounds harsh, but I said it before. I'll say it again. Just like Jim Wheely said, and this is why I wanted to be part of the conversation at the time. I'm not so sure it's such a prudent decision now, but either way, I'm just going to go out and say it. Listen, I was in the service between 2002 to 2005. Just technologically wise, the fence, the fence, that kind of like the border fence between the Israel territory to the Gaza territory, contained, besides cameras and sensors, and some of it is electrical. There's also the trackers, the tracking road behind the place.
There was no defense on October 7th that I saw.
Hear me out. I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Also, there is tremendous amounts of every few. I don't remember. They shifting every now and then. In my time, every couple of hundred, maybe 300 meters, there's guard towers and armored pillboxes. Okay, manned guard by
I get
heavily
it. I get
armed
it.
and heavily trained soldiers. Okay, you got tanks, you got APCs, you've got camouflaged raccoons, we used to call them, of Humvees, of field intelligence and intelligence, and also from the technological point of view, you got technologies that I can't really discuss in public, but in a general sense, you've got like the ability to not just see the enemy
Yeah, you have
and listen.
satellites monitoring this. Sure.
I'm sorry?
You have satellites monitoring this 24 hours a day. I mean, they
I'm
can
not
see
even
this.
I'm not even getting to the point of satellites. I'm talking
Yeah.
about point of like certain types and certain models of cameras and radio waves and technologies, again, that I cannot speak in a way that like we cannot just see them, hear
So
them,
was
what
there
they
any
talk.
defense? Was there
The-
any defensive effort put up that day when they
let,
made
let,
this attack?
let me just conclude this section and I'll move on to your question. So the thing is, we got, again, and this is from my time. We're talking about from 2002 to 2005. Imagine what
Mhm.
they have today.
Mhm.
We, or should I say them, they have
You're
the
talking the
ability to,
ADF.
the IDF, but also the other security apparatus, not just the IDF, the Israel Defense
Yep.
Force, but if it's the Blue Police, the Border Police, the internal security services, the external security services, we don't necessarily have to go into that. You know who I'm talking about. The
Yeah,
equivalent of
there are people actually
the
on the
equivalent
line defending
the
the
equi-
country.
yes, but the equivalent to the FBI, CIA, and Homeland Security in the state
Yep.
side. Let's put it this way, okay? and other agencies for that matter. Some of them are official, some of them are unofficial. Some of them will confirm and deny nothing, and some of them will confirm they're virtually allegedly non-existent, but they're there. Okay, so here how it went down. So back then, between 2000 and 2005, we had the ability not just to see and listen to everything they say and do, but also to see what they can see on us on their screens and choose what to let them see. That's how advanced we were back then. So imagine how advanced we are today. Okay, now the CIA and the FBI knew, MI5 and MI6 knew, the Shin Bet in Israel and the Mossad knew, and the people who collaborate with us, which is the Egyptian intelligence services, they call the Mukhabarat, they knew. Even the Saudis and the Jordanian intelligence services, they knew.
They knew what? They knew what?
They knew that something is about to go down.
Yeah.
They came to us with that information.
Right.
The thing is that a totally different secret compartmentalized section and a division of whoever was calling the shot that day from the intelligence services, whoever it may be, turn off the shelter, flip off, switch to off mode. Everybody turn, don't look, turn your gaze into the other direction. Look over there, don't look over here. What we're doing over here. And from reports that not only came to me personally, from reports from people who were at vacation at that time, off the base. Listen, there were some underground or overground secret bases with very high tech, heavy equipment that were evacuated, and some of them had to be done by force. Some of the soldiers, men and women in service, had to be evacuated by force. And I'm not just talking about the regular service children from 18 to 21. I'm talking about also the regulars. I'm talking about the one who sign in for military career for the next 20, 25 years, foreseeable future. Officers, sergeant in different ranks, and also reservists. Now, unlike Scott Ritter and Douglas McGregor and again Joe Salente paint the reservists. The reservists are not like everyday chubby Toby McFett fuck that like going out of his daily business. He's just working. It's just like getting a warrant number seven or eight. You've been recruited for 3 to 6 months or for the foreseeable future because your country needs you. We're in trouble. We need you coming to basically on duty call. So in that time you train. You kind of like refreshing your knowledge how to operate your different sidearms, your assault rifles, the different things you're assigned to, and then you jump in.
LSA, we got to trim this down, amigo. We got
No
to get to the
problem.
meat on the matter. So
Okay.
what you're
Long
saying
story-
is you're
long
saying
story short-
that the people who were defending were called away so they couldn't defend. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and they left only a handful. I don't know if they did they handpicked them or they just draw the lottery on this one, lucky dip. But basically, a handful was left behind, and they were overrun and slaughtered like sheeps, like lambs. And
Well, I saw a couple videos where
hence they managed to breach the fence, and
Yeah.
not just one section, several of them. They also attacked by sea, and they penetrated loads of Israelis' villages, settlements, small to medium sized towns, completely obliterated.
So
Now,
what do you think the objective of that group was? Was
I'm
it
coming to that.
just to kill as many Israelis as possible, or what was the objective?
It was no. Let's be clear about this, okay? In October 7th events, there was no glorious combat or battle or victory. A combat is a fighter versus fighter, a warrior versus a warrior, a military versus military, army versus army. You can't come after you breach the fence. Okay, you're taking some hostages, but you're slaughtering the rest. And then half of the Arab world or the Islamic world is like clapping and rejoicing, like over like, okay. So when you implement that, just like you said, probably, but let me put it like in a much more in a much unsettling way. Okay, when you launch that kind of attack, forget about on any country, let alone countries like Israel or other people with those kind of capabilities, military capabilities. What in fuck's name did you expect to happen next? You tell me. All those people who are crying out right now worldwide and millions upon millions marching all through Europe.
Well, you're much closer to this than I am. So
No,
there
no,
must be
but
some.
I'm
There
being
must be.
honest. For
They
me,
must have had some sort of objective, other than
David,
just to kill as many people as they could.
no, they didn't. Because if they did, tell me something. How many actual, not the propaganda ministry of your side or the other side or any side for that matter. Because I know
Or maybe
facts.
they wanted Israel to do what they're doing right now.
True. But why? What is the deep root reason? And
Well, of
it's gonna
course. I
blow.
mean, let's face it. Israel supposedly controls the U.S. government and its politicians somehow.
No,
Okay,
no,
so
no.
if that's true, if Israel has a very good PR team and they're able to spin laws and publicity their way, this
There's,
is this is this is one way to get the world to hate Israel.
it's true that in a general sense, not necessarily the Israeli lobby, the Jewish lobby of the American Congress is very formidable and strong, but it's not necessarily Israeli. It's not necessarily Israeli
Right?
because
Yeah,
that
it could
will be
be Zion. Yeah.
no, no, no. I'll tell you why. Because that will be already the definition of coming in touch of a congressman or a senator coming in touch and
Well,
accepting bribery from a foreign agent, which
that's
means it's
fine.
treasonous.
Elishay, our the history of humankind is filled with patsies.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Okay,
true. But
filled
I,
with
I,
patsies.
I'm, I,
So
I,
these
I'm trying
people
to
who
get.
made the attack on October 7th could have just been a pawn for
But
some other objective.
that's my point. They
You haven't made
got
the point.
That's my point. They took the bait of an inside job that was meant to hurt them to begin with. They had no other objective than to assassin, butcher, and murder and burn alive men, women, children, under the assumption of, oh, yeah, each man, woman, each
So is this
legally.
just a okay? So BlackRock, they're now going to get the contracts, the just like Halliburton had in way back when of no bid contracts. BlackRock is getting these no bid contracts in Ukraine. Maybe Halliburton or BlackRock will get no bid contracts now to uh, go into Gaza and extract the oil, the gas, and do whatever they want to do. Maybe that's the objective here, is just to get rid of all the people there.
You see how clever? You see how clever you are? Now you're getting warmer because the true marching orders that bumbling idiot Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, actually got was, we don't care how you're going to execute it, but this is what we want. And the orders came from the top, not just
Yeah,
from the Israeli elites, but also from American and British elites who made
of course.
concessions. Who made concession? Guess with who? Who got paid? Who got paid? To begin with? Who got married into money, into a vast amount of wealth? That is currently is the prime minister of the UK, I guess, Rishi
I,
Sunak.
yeah, I've only heard a few things about him,
Yeah,
but
that's
it
good.
comes
He was
down
in
to
a
a problem,
no, no,
reaction, solution. right?
No. Well, yeah, that's the method
Of
it's
course,
conducted by.
you
Okay,
can't get people to agree to exterminate an entire group in Gaza unless you have some sort of problem and reaction. Now you're going to get a solution that nobody would have ever agreed to.
you remember what I told you last time, that once things will like start to heat up in Gaza, and then they're going to take up shape, and the wave will go larger and larger, and the war, only expansions of wars. Once they're done over there, or at the same time, they're going to be heating up with the northern border with Lebanon and Syria, backed up by not divisions, sorry, three regiments of Iranian Revolutionary Guard Special Forces with Russian technology. Do you remember when I told you that?
I don't remember the
So
details now.
fair enough. Well, that's exactly what's happening right now, David. That's already happened like before. It heats up, and with all due respect,
Well, if Turkey and Russia enter this, then we've got another problem.
listen, no disrespect to my brothers and sisters, Jewish or not Jewish, in the IDF, whether the reservist or just being drafted. No disrespect for them, but Hezbollah, 50,000 strong, organized, and at least 50% of them are battle seasoned, is not a little peasant
So
militant group of Hamas.
why have they not already engaged?
They already have. They
They
already
have?
have. Yeah, they have. They did just like 3 days ago. They started barrages of missiles into Israel after Israel started bombing certain parts of southern Lebanon, but then they went
Right,
even deeper into the territory of Lebanon and
right.
bombed the shit out of certain areas in Lebanon. Then Lebanon started to react with shooting missile into the northern part of Israel. But Hezbollah, it's not like in the second Lebanese war, like in 2006 when. Uh,
Do you think that attack on the American base in Syria there or wherever it was, do you think that was linked to this? That
yes,
killed those?
definitely.
Yeah.
Those American soldiers are put in harm's way in, intentionally. So then the Americans can come and go like, okay, they hurt our soldiers who done nothing wrong to them. They were just stationed in the area. Now we got all the legitimacy in the world to wipe them out. Now,
Well,
now, just hyphening a bit before we continue, and or before
I don't
we
know. We're getting into
listen. This is the meat
we're
and
going
potatoes of the matter.
down that.
This is exactly what you wanted to know, David.
Okay.
David, this is exactly what you wanted to know. Rishi Sunak got $5 billion. Sorry, £5 billion from his father-in-law, either the richest man in India or one of the five top richest people in India, because he wanted to split the drilling rights of crude oil and LNG that comes with it, goes without saying, like liquefied natural gas, off the shores of the Gaza Strip and off the shores of that's from east to west, but from south to from south to north, it's from the Egyptian Delta. They want the drilling rights. The US, UK, and some elites in India wants the drilling rights to be the sole facilitator, the sole pipeline who's going to eventually supply South, East, Central, North, and ultimately Western Europe with heating gas, cooking gas, any type of gas, industrial gas.
Yeah. Forget
They
Russia.
want to, yes, exactly. They want to counter the Russian and the Chinese. That's what all the ganip, ganop, and all the chaos. In the meantime, what do we care? So we sacrificed
Well, that's
33,000.
what the United States did to the American Indian is they'd put them on land, and then they'd find something on the land that they needed and say, "You got to move again," or they'd just kill them.
Okay, but that's my point. It's
Yeah.
not the everyday Israeli commoner, everyday Israeli, uh, you know, Jack and Jill again, like or Moses and Deborah, yeah. Uh, they don't see beyond the propaganda ministry and the 5 o'clock news, and they don't see in between the lines. Read between the lines. They think everything. Oh yeah,
Well,
they want to exterminate you. That's on the one hand, and you want to do the same thing to them because you live in the vision of greater Israel. Go back to the whole. Like, listen, Muslims and Jews have more in common and Christian for that, and have more in common than not. Like Isaac was the son of Abraham, but also Ishmael was the son of Abraham. Ishmael was the son of Hagar, and Ishaq was the son of Sarah. Ishmael, slightly older than Isaac, but he's the seed of the Ishmaelites, which in time turned to be the Muslims, the Islamic world. Arab or not, the Islamic world. He's their seed.
So am I
Ishaq
correct? So
was the
basically,
father of Jacob eventually. That was the
right.
seed of the
But
sons of Israel.
Israel has been trying to get those people moved out of there for decades, right? They tried to get Egypt to take them. They tried to get other countries to take them. Nobody wants those people. So
I
somebody
wonder
thought,
why. I
so
wonder why,
some,
David. I wonder why. Why doesn't Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, they so fiercely worried about them that they're willing to attack us? So why don't you take them? But Jordan, for instance, just as an example, Jordan, uh, let's say, territorial wise, is 3 times the size of Israel, or maybe 3.2 times the size of Israel, territory wise. Population wise, they're barely 3 point something, maybe 4 million. In Israel, with 3.2 less their territorial size, but only Jews were 8 million. If you calculate also the Darjan, Cherkessian Bedouins, and Israeli Arab Muslims, Israeli Arab Christians, Israeli Jews, you get to 10 million. And if you take the Palestinian population on board, which is
I can
2.
only tell you the comments that I've read online and in different is that these governments believe that these people are more trouble than they're worth. I don't know if that's true.
Well, yes and no, because I'll tell you what, most of them are, but some of them are not. Some of them are just like you and me, David. They just want to get by. They want to work, want a proper education for their family members, want to live in a peaceful way. But they've been held in between the clashes between the IDF to Hamas, or alternatively, they've been being captive by Hamas, who sometimes, not all the time, but a lot of times, use them as human shields.
How many people actually lived in that area? I mean, how many tens or hundreds of thousands of people lived in the area that's being reduced to rubble right now? Are we talking hundreds of thousands of people or tens of
we're talking
thousands?
about, sorry, we're talking about the Gaza Strip, or we're talking about the Israeli territories?
Whatever's being eliminated right now for the oil and the gas.
So initially, Netanyahu decided to lose it and sacrifice somewhere between 3.3, 3.5, 33 to 3,500 both military and civilian population from our side. That's
Right.
tolerable and acceptable.
Right. Yeah, that right.
But mainly the main casualties came from the civilian population.
Yeah, but I'm saying how many people actually called that their home? How many people were living there?
I would have to say around the Gaza border, in between 570, 600,000 to max 800, max.
And so where are so 40 if 40 or 50,000 have been killed, where are the other 800,000 or 700,000? Are they still there?
No, the entire area has been completely evacuated.
Where did they go?
The people who didn't got kidnapped, assassinated, or executed, they're with family members all over southern, central, and northern Israel. That's all there is to it.
Oh, they were Jews? I thought they were all Palestinians or Arabs or whatever term you want to use.
I'm talking about the Jewish side of the fence.
I'm talking the people, but those we're talking about. There's been 40,000 people killed by the Israeli government.
You're talking about so specifically say the Gaza Strip. Okay, so the Gaza Strip. First, what you got to realize is the most heavily condensed population-wise in the world. It's like basically the most crowded place. The number 1 or number 2 most crowded place in the world. Basically,
more than 1 million people.
What?
More than 1 million people.
2.2 million people crowded into that tiny strip.
Wow.
So the people who got like pushed away from the north,
pretty easy to kill people when you're bombing, if there's that dense.
Yeah, but at the same time, they use very advanced technological tools to kind of like triangulate all the phone numbers and calling them, telling them in Arabic, pre-record message, or people actually speak Arabic, leave your flat building, or take or leave your house. We're about to bomb this area to clear it out, to clear those buildings or those houses, so we can deploy the tanks and the soldiers to engage Hamas in a fight. They throw away over 500,000 leaflets for a village that 500,000 leaflets, 500,000 leaflets for a village that counts no more than 50, 60,000. Now, okay, some people take notice and they leave before it hits up.
But the
Some
goal
people,
is to clear that entire area so that people can
now,
take the oil and the gas.
now I believe it is, but to satisfy the commoners, it's oh yeah, the Israelis are celebrating now because we're getting revenge of what they did to us first, because we didn't start this shit, but we sure shit gonna see it through. So we're gonna get revenge on them, and every hit they're gonna every injury and loss we suffered, they're gonna suffer like 100 times or 1,000 times, 1,000 folds more. Yeah, that's a great way to go, man. And
Okay, well,
either
let me
way,
ask you a question. How would Gaza Strip been able to have been cleared so that BlackRock and Rishi's uncle in India could
not
extract the
uncle,
oil and the
father-in-law,
gas?
not uncle, father-in-law.
Okay, father-in-law. How
The
could
father
they
of
have
his wife.
achieved how could they have achieved their objective without killing all these people?
Mm, Simple. In their eyes, they can't, because if they going to reveal to them, listen, you got mineral deposits that can supply Israel, Egypt, uh, southern, eastern, central, northern, and ultimately Western Europe. That's when they're going to start, if they haven't already built their own pipelines underneath the ocean, and leading to Europe through Cyprus and Greece. Then if we're going to tell
So
you,
I'm
no,
see,
no,
I'm
if,
not from that region. I'm asking you, how could they have convinced those people to pick
so I'm
up and
telling
go
you,
so that they could
if
take
they
the
would
land?
have, if they would have told them the full disclosure, which they don't tend to do anyway, um, if they would
Then
have
there would
told
have
them,
been a real fight.
no, we discovered that in front of your shore, on your territorial water, or whatever you want to call it, there is uh again oil and LNG mineral deposit, among other mineral deposits, to supply the areas I just mentioned for the
Mhm.
next 100 to 120 years. Do you think someone will give up an inch of that land knowing what it contains? The land or the ocean?
That's my
Do you think?
point.
Okay, so the only way in their minds of the American, British, Israeli elites, and some of the Indian elites who are culpable in this.
Supposedly, this is what the real reason for the United States going to Afghanistan was for minerals and resources
Yeah, but it was mainly for the poppy field production, if you can recall that as well.
and poppy fields, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Furthermore, why do you think, in God's name, there were like 2 to 3 fleets of the U.S. Navy dispatched?
Yeah,
Why?
huge.
No. 3 of them. Two in the beginning of the September of the 7th of October. One to the Middle East.
Yeah, they took the
One.
one from the Pacific from Taiwan.
Okay, no, there was the two initial ones. I'm not talking about the one that was dispatched specifically from Taiwan from elsewhere.
Mhm.
I'm talking about the two. One for the Middle East, from the front end, and the other end from the Middle East is for the next to the Gulf of Aden in Yemen, where the Houthis are right
Yeah.
now. In order to defend the passageway of American and British oil tankers of the London Corporation and other high-profile individuals with or without a name. I don't really care.
And
Uh,
isn't it amazing that the price of oil has not really spiked?
yeah,
Normally, in
so
these type of geopolitical events, the price of oil will double.
just just wait a bit. Just wait.
Can't hear you.
The second
Can't.
quarter of 2025. So can you
Can't
hear me
hear you.
now? Can you
Yeah.
hear me now?
Now I can. Yeah.
Okay, so wait a bit until we get to the first or second quarter of 2025. Then you see Brent
25.
crude.
Mm.
Yeah. Along those lines, but you don't have to wait that long. Buy it now. Buy Brent crude right now while it's relatively cheap. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even if you're going to see a pullback from, I don't know, $85 per barrel towards the 70, even below 70 supporting levels, once they're going to be real supply shortages, and once a larger amount of oil tankers are going to be hit, and the expansion of war is not just going to be between Israel to Gaza and to Lebanon and Syria. It's also going to be the British, the American coming into stationary areas in Saudi Arabia, maybe elsewhere, and full-blown war with Yemen and whoever's back in the war. And the main target is
Yeah,
it's the same.
Europe will become the Europe will suffer again because they suffered when they blew up the Russian gas lines,
Pipeline. Yeah,
and they're
Nord
going to
Stream 2 and
suffer,
Nord
and they're
Stream
going to
1.
suffer because they're not getting oil from the Middle East now.
Yeah, and until that pipeline will be established and start to produce, there's going to be quite some time. But tell me something: if there was three fleets originally, minus the Taiwan one, Taiwan makes it four, but there was three fleets. Two initially after the 7th of October attacks, one in front of the Israeli shorelines with
Mm-hmm.
Marines and fighter jet
Mm-hmm.
F-15 and 16I, whatever model you want to name, just name it.
Yeah, and the U.S. is also occupying Syria.
Yeah, but I'm not just talking about aircraft carriers. I'm talking about also battle destroyers. I'm talking about U-boats. I'm talking about even submarines. Okay, that's in full cooperation with the Israeli Navy, which is not as big as the American one, but just as effective. Listen to this. So the first one is in front of the Israeli shorelines, and so in front of the port in Ashdod and Ashkelon cities,
Yeah.
and then you've got one closer to Haifa, spread across, just like you said, Syria as well. And then you've got one in the rear end, where the passage of Hormuz, after
The what?
the Persian Gulf, when they have to cross like this in a kind of a U shape, and then they go through the Gulf of Eden, the port of Eden, to the Hormuz passage. And then when they pass it, they go through next in between.
You're breaking up. You
in
whatever.
between in, in between countries on the map, you'll see it's in between Yemen, Saudi Arabia. When you go,
Yeah, you're talking the Red Sea.
yes, but as you go along, you proceed. It's not just the Hormuz Passage and the Red Sea. It goes next in between countries, in between
Between
Southeast
Africa and
Africa
yeah,
and the
and the
Saudi
Arabian
Arabian
Peninsula.
Peninsula. Yeah,
The Arabian
exactly.
Peninsula. Yeah.
The Arabian Peninsula, exactly. Who's on the side of the Arabian Peninsula? Yemen and Saudi Arabia. And at the tip of it, in the Gulf of Eilat in Israel,
Yeah. You got all. Yeah.
Jordan, and you got like Jordan from one side to the east, and to the west you got Egypt. To the
Mhm.
African side, what do you got? All throughout, like across, not right next to the Nile, but the countries that park next to it. You got Egypt, and before that you got Ethiopia, Eritrea, Somalia.
Eritrea. Yeah.
How come the Somali pirates are not like joining the fray? Who paid them to be quietly down and maybe help in the effort against the Houthis, or stage something that can be blamed then later on the Houthis? Those are questions worth asking. How
Well,
come I hear about?
we already know that you don't have modern civilization without energy. So energy is, especially fossil fuels. I think the world is starting to realize that you don't have civilization without fossil fuels.
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
I know.
until we get some other energy that is
No,
like
we already got.
a
We
form
already
of
have it.
nuclear.
No. We already have it. Forget about a nuclear or hydrogen, which we already got. We got like plant-based fuels that are just as effective as coal and diesel and petrol, or basically diesel and petrol based on those. You can imagine since the 1939 or 1940, we used to. You remember what do you call it? The bug
I
that vehicle,
understand. I understand.
Volkswagen bug.
There are technologies that supposedly Tesla himself had developed, and when he died, they came in and took all his
His work, yeah.
his ideas away and put them in a box somewhere because it
It
threatened
wasn't profitable.
existing infrastructure. Okay, and also there've been plenty of movies and stories about this where if you take the economic element out of it, then you basically take the control of people away.
Yeah,
This
you
is
know, the only thing that annoys me about those libtards and greentards that like Just Stop Oil and Friends of the Bloody Earth and all those, they think that being green is cool and being woke is cool. You want to reduce CO2 emission, carbon dioxide.
yeah.
First of all, the planet cannot exist with H2, but also without CO2.
No,
That,
no.
that
Let's definitely not go down this path because
No,
this
I'm not. I'm just a quick
I
comment. I'm not going
yeah.
down this path. But I'm saying to all those, I'm eliminating those type of conversation with those type of people instead of just stop oil. I'm just telling them just fuck off. Um,
Well,
so,
there's
sorry
nothing.
for my language. The only reason I'm saying that is that like they don't realize that after 9/11 and everything that followed,
Yeah,
all the way to the pre-planned scamdemic and the COVID wars, the only carbon based life form they want to reduce is you.
yeah, that's it.
Is
Well,
you.
don't forget the sheep and the cows as well.
Well, yeah, but they need the livestock. Us, they don't need us as much as they need livestock or
That's what I agree.
planetary
I
like.
know this. There's no doubt in my mind. And you see, this is where if this is the difficult thing. If you truly believe that there is a God, no, if you
And I
truly
do.
believe that there's a God,
I do.
okay,
They don't.
no, the plural you. If people believe that there is a God, it's going to be very different. Then it's and this is something we can talk about another time because this would be a 5 hour conversation.
Fair enough. Fair
Is
enough.
is our world is based on economics. Everything in our world is based on economics. That's what runs the world because our world would not be structured the way it is. I mean, you're in London, right?
No, no, no. That's what our world has become. I
I
refuse to
understand, but
believe that
London's a shithole. Really is.
it
It
became
is.
one, unfortunately. Yeah. It
Yeah,
became
yeah.
one. It
New
became one. It
York
wasn't
is a
always.
shithole.
It wasn't always the case. No, it wasn't always the case.
I'm
I
talking
was
today. Today, last
today.
time I was in London, I was like, "There's no
When
reason to
was
be
that?
back here."
Just enlighten me. When was
The
that? Just
last
out of curiosity.
time, I'd have to look at the videos. 5 years, maybe 6 years. Um,
Okay.
the
I
thing
gotta
that
tell
I
you,
know is there's
I live in
cameras
London.
everywhere. Yeah,
I
yeah. I
reside.
mean, the infrastructure was breaking down. The downtown area where the politics are, that's all nice, kept really nice because of the tourism and. uh,
Of
But
course, goes without
you
saying.
walk 5, 6 miles inland, it's not so nice.
I,
But
that I can agree
the
on.
point
But
I'm making is if people truly believed in God, then our world would be structured differently. Our world would be structured differently because everything that we do with our daily lives, the choices that we make and the sacrifices we make to stay on the treadmill really defy.
I don't want to stay on the treadmill. I want to get off the treadmill and run to each direction I choose to. When I run on the treadmill, I'm
It's
in
too
the
late
same
now.
spot an
It's too
enemy.
late. None of
Yeah,
us
yeah.
can get off the treadmill now.
I'm not gonna be so sure
Where
about that.
you where you
I
gonna
might suggest
go? Where you gonna
what
go? Where you gonna
you
go?
you might want to get some advice from people like Bill Holter and Associates. Just saying. Uh, look at what you've done. look, I'm saying you're not at the peak of like where you need to be, or alternatively even want to be. But again, you at least made a step in the right direction. It's not
Every
like,
every choice has its consequences.
yeah, but it's not like you. It's not like, okay, look, it's not like you in a situation where you jumped from the fire to the frying pan, or the other way around, whatever. It's not like that. You actually improved your life because you're no longer in the in a way, in a lot of ways, you improve your life because you're no longer in that endless, exhausting race in life, when
Yeah.
you ending up finding out that it's only with yourself. A week or 2 weeks ago, there was another fleet, seems like medical, civilian and medical in nature, that's supposed to come and lend humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip right now and evacuating people. Did you know that? But did you know what that those large vessels also carry on in their
I'm
cargo?
sure they
Oh,
carried weapons.
no, 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 no. Then, well, that's a given. But besides that, they carrying the equipment to build a floating drilling site exactly where they want to get that. Israel might get a pinch and a percentage for that, for themselves, for usage, or in currency, or whatever terms. I'm sure the elites are gonna. The small ones are called Tamar, and the big one are called Leviathan. So the big one. So there's one up north. We share, like, that belongs to Israel. One is shared with Lebanon. There's also gonna be a fight over that, and one in front of the shores of Gaza. Furthermore, and just to wrap it all up, if I may, um, Egypt, before they starting to block them, they turn away. They turn away to the European Union and told them, "Listen, guys, if you're not going to help us with this migrant crisis from Gaza Strip, we're going to start flooding Europe with millions of migrants." In between the lines, where's the check? You get what I'm saying?
Like I said, it all comes down to economics today.
Yes, but again, the oil and the gas, etc., etc. But in my own individual life, I refuse. I refuse, and I won't have it. Even if I have to live in a very Neanderthal, backward, completely disengaged from every normal civilization, which eventually I'm gonna bump in every now and then. But even if I have to go, like, I don't know, like, to disappear in the woods when no man is in the modern era set foot, just said, I'll do it. I refuse. When the rest, you know what Jim used to
They don't
mention.
care. They don't care what you and I do, as long as we don't interfere with them.
That's not entirely true,
If
because they're the
if
mafia with a flag. They can do pretty much whatever they want. If they want to confine
but
everyone
but but
to
but
smart mega
they've got
cities,
other things. Unless you become a Julian Assange, you even Gonzalo Lira became too much of an inconvenience for them.
he was,
He
but
started
he
becoming
wasn't. He
popular.
wasn't true, but he wasn't on the same level as Julian Assange and Edward Snowden. He wasn't. They weren't on the same level.
No, of course not. But
He
Bill
just became.
Cooper, okay, that it's it's uh it's going to be it's let's just end it here because I really have to go.
Sure.
I have to go. But the long story short is is we have free choice and we have free will. But in my opinion, most people choose not to exercise those. In They choose to stay on the treadmill, they choose to stay in the system because they let fear and they let ignorance, especially when they have children and families. Now all of a sudden it's like, well, what am I going to do? I just can't pick up and leave. Where am I going to go? Well, these are the things you have to decide.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm educating and training my own children, like, how to cope with certain situations. The other parent seems to look at me funny. He's an oddball. He's a weird bird. This guy, like, why would he tell that to his own children in a relatively young age? So they'll be prepared. So
And
I
you
won't have to panic.
and Gonzalo Lira made a very interesting observation in one of our conversations. Is 100 years ago, the Jews of Europe, they were very experienced in picking up and going. They could spot the right time and play when it was time to go. They learned not to hang around when a situation was going downhill. So they would put their stuff in the cart, they would pick up, and they would go. And that's something that most people, that's why we're boiling frogs. We haven't learned that. We haven't learned that.
Maybe because I guess it's just an assumption. I don't know if it's fact or not, but like it could be part and part 50-50. Maybe it's because the Jewish people, after not decades or generations or even hundreds of years, maybe even for thousands of years, we've been persecuted by one empire or another, or one
that's exactly what he's referring to. That's exactly what he's referring to.
Yeah, so by one foreign ruler or the other. So we learn to pick up sticks and take our stuff and leave before the brown stuff hit the fence, because we learn to write the writings on the wall. And I believe some other would have.
So is it possible that it will happen again to the people who are currently in the country of Israel?
It might be. There's a lot of people who want to. By the way, did you know that besides the Israeli airliners, there's no other airliners that are permitted in or out from Israel?
No, I had not heard that. No.
No, because in the beginning there was a massive exodus of Israelis who happened to hold foreign passport. So, yeah, no, they just said like, okay.
So they're restricting Israelis from leaving Israel?
Exactly.
Wow. So sounds like China.
No, they were telling me you're not leaving the country, you're not going anywhere.
Australia did that as well during COVID.
Exactly. So you're not going anywhere, and but then there was a legal question: what happens if I'm an Israeli, but I also holding a foreign passport, whether it be American, British, Dutch, whatever? You can't keep me here. I want to go to. I'm a multinationality person, so you can't keep me here. So what? Like about 40,000-50,000 managed to leave with their families, like not families, individuals or families or whatever. But the rest of them remain to the meat grinder. Stayed off to take care of the meat grinder, to feed. Where's does the prime minister of Israel sons are right now? Where is his sons? Where is his children?
I have no idea. But here's the thing that I don't know. What is the real threat to Israel? Is there a real threat to Israel, or is it manufactured?
How about for all of the above? The Israeli regime. The Israeli regime.
No, I'm talking the people who were staying there. I mean, is there a chance that there could be an all-out attack on Israel from these countries? I mean, why haven't
countries? Yeah, definitely, and eventually it will happen. And eventually there will be you're gonna have full-on von Clausewitz type of shit. Total war, total regional war. And I expect it to happen like this decade. I don't hope for it, but I know it's going to happen this decade. I believe that's what's going to happen. That's also what ancient prophecies are telling us.
Book of Revelation says 300 million man armies coming down from the north into Israel, and that will be the start of World War III.
Live long and prosper.